Peace, power, melanated black power, and love for our people. Humam Abdulmalik, on another great day that the Creator has allowed that blessed breath of fresh air, the breath of life. On this, the 6th day of Kwanzaa, with the principle of koo-OOM-bah, koo-OOM-bah, creativity, to do always as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than the way we inherited. Prime example of leaving our community as beautiful as we found it is in our immediate community. When we come out our doors and we see trash all over the place, and it's like the pollution of our own communities by not being cleaning it up, taking care of it. We should like our community to be clean. Before I get started on the poetry and all that, like I said, this is the 6th principle, koo-OOM-bah, creativity. We went through umoja, unity, kukuchakalia, self-determination, ujima, collective work and responsibility, ujama, cooperative economics, nia, purpose, and koo-OOM-bah, creativity, today's principle. But I want us to listen to something. I want to play one piece of it and see if you heard what I heard. It's one of our great master band players, musicians, but the words kind of overwhelmed me before he got into his groove. I don't know if you can hear it.
Funk upon a time, in the days of the funkopus, the concept of specially designed astronauts capable of funkatizing galaxies was first laid on man-child, but was later repossessed and placed among the secrets of the pyramids until a more positive attitude towards this most sacred phenomenon, clone the funk, could be acquired. During these terrestrial projects, it would wait along with its co-inhabitants of kings and pharaohs, like sleeping beauties, for the kiss that would release them to multiply in the image of the chosen one, Dr. Frankenstein. And funk is its only word. May I frighten you?
That little portion right there, that was Dr. Frankenstein, George Clinton, in Parliament Funkadelic. But the concepts that he was using, he talked about the pyramids, he talked about extraterrestrials, and talking about those things that kind of connect us to our ancestors, or that pathway, and we got to go black, and for him to be a musician and have that concept like that, just like Earth, Wind and Fire, right, and their modality of playing music and stuff like that, it was like leaving us again pathways and guideposts and being light bearers and torch bearers, but giving us information in that entertainment world. And that's part of being creativity, to have a natural ability to convey the truth to us as a people, so we can come out of this social narcotics of white supremacy and institutionalized racism, that we haven't gotten around decades of this indoctrination, or this drug, or this uses of drug, unbeknowing that it is a drug that is subtly fed to us through the media, through our education, and all that, because we are in this this realm, in this United States of hypocrisy, under the control of the people that control it, that feed us, that govern us, for lack of better words. So if we don't find our own principles and establish our infrastructure, we will keep and be under this system of a pluralistic, because it's worldwide, system of deception that has us in a quagmire, deceptive maze that we got to go through to just deal with living. We got to live through this system in order to survive. We got to survive through this system in order to establish our groundwork for a system. And today I want to start off with a poem. It's not my poem, but it's from a illustrious sister, matriarchy, melanated warrior queen, Sufi queen, matter of fact. And I'm going to share her poem. It's called Dare to Fly With Me. Come dare fly with me to the heights of spiritual ecstasy. Help me build a abode where we can cherish the beloved and one another, where we can unite as one. But first you must know that there cannot be one until there is none. And I can help you realize your nothingness. If we just let the flames of passion extinguish our being as nothing, we will realize our oneness. Come dare to fly with me to the furthest heavens. Spread the wings of your heart and fly high, high above all that seeks to hold you back. Lose yourself in the knowledge of yourself and in me, and you'll enjoy a bliss you never, ever tasted. One that will make you hate to return to existence, except that we've been commanded to come back. Come dare fly with me to wherever the beloved take us, whether it be to bliss or to toil and strife. You see, the reality is all part of life. But when the struggle becomes unbearable and we are permitted to escape, we'll hasten to, if only for a moment. Elsewise, we'll learn to be content with what the beloved gave us. That is the test of our true submission, of true surrender. Beloved, please permit us to surrender ourselves to you. Now, that poem right there was from the mentality of a person that was totally submitted to the practice of her way of life. As I said, in a Sufi circle practicing Islam, esoteric knowledge or mysticism or whatever you want to call it, but they was totally sincere to that, and you probably can hear it in her words being conveyed. And I want to go from there to here. Again, this day is Kuumba, the 6th day of Kwanzaa, creativity. We have to be creative, and in our creativity, we want to uplift, motivate, stimulate, and agitate to where we can try to change the disposition and the mentality of our people to elevate themselves into aura or essence of love, peace, and togetherness, to overcome the negative energy that parallels into negative things like hurting each other, killing each other, stealing from each other, selling each other drugs. Creativity will help us overcome those things by changing our thinking, changing our language, being creative to mold and shape your personality, to change the reality to higher standards in the essence of love. It's building a foundation, an institution to overcome the institution that we've been going through for decades, years, hours, moments at a time, day at a time. And we got to overcome it because it's a crime being committed against our mind that's self-inflicted, unbeknown to us, that we've been like so indoctrinated, and it's so subtle. We go to these schools and be, striving for betterment in our lives and our livelihood. But it's all manipulation. You get all that, but it takes you out of your nature. So we got to understand that to the degree that we don't be overwhelmed by it. Because when you get there in the education, we must educate ourselves also about our culture and who we are. And we cannot forget that. We cannot forget who we are, where we come from, and the essence of our being on this planet, being divine beings with a divine essence. If we just lift the veils that have been placed over our eyes, being this quagmire, deceptive maze. This is called, where's the morality in this land? And this is from another sister. Sister Kimberly Harris. My partner, my other half, my better half, that at this time right here, we're trying to, in this space and time, we're trying to develop our space, come face to face with a reality that we face. But that's another story that you might hear tonight. This is called, where's the morality in this land? The gentrification of the entire nation created holy damnation. Wonder, is it okay that the same-sex relation has now copied legal civil rights implications while promoting new sexual sensations? Woman openly intimate with another woman, man openly loving another man. Somebody please help me understand. Where is the morality in this land? Pastors sleeping with teenagers, Catholics molesting little boys, Congress converting student pages into their personal boy toys. People freaking animals loving porno more than their spouses. Who knows what is really happening inside of today's churches or family houses? Hypocrisy everywhere. People cheating and lying to their lover, truly acting undercover. Somebody please help me understand. Where's the morality in this land? Protesters at Occupy New York, Chicago, and D.C. suggest for the 99% represents you and me. But please tell us, sister, why should this be? The cost of being American in this country has been systematically failing thee. Families keep trying to get to or remain debt-free. At least they all would be living on the street, man, in poverty. May God bless this crumbling U.S. economy. Somebody please help me understand, where is the morality in this land? The rich are getting richer, while the poor gets poorer. Pure overwhelming unhappiness. New high stats in the homelessness. A perpetual state of joblessness is now sending the people of the United States, united snakes of hypocrisy, into a sudden death slaughter. Who can afford to raise a son or a daughter? Somebody please help me understand, where is the morality in this land? Surviving this life could mean eating out of a trash can or building castles out of sand. Somebody please help me understand, where is the morality in this land? Where is it? It's all caught up in the hypocrisy of the so-called democracy. Oh man, here's another one. But as related to all the principles of Kwanzaa, trying to establish a foundation, institution, the development of an institution to counter the social narcotics of the institutionalization of racism and classism in this so-called beloved nation of ours. A beloved nation that had us 3/5 of a human being, a law stating facts or a rule in the Dred Scott case that Europeans don't have to abide by nothing that a black man has to offer. That was according to the law, Dred Scott law. So what do? Continue going through this illusion of happiness and illusion of a system that has our best interests at heart. It is an illusion, but it is an illusion that gives us that feel-good sensation. You know, like that first piece of something that you ate that tastes so good, you be chasing that. Or that's a situation, the first time is the best time. That first time you ever got whatever that just overwhelmed your senses. That's how this system is. But it's a deception to give you that what's that pleasure principle? Like I think like a first high, you can never get it. I think that's why the people that do drugs keep chasing that first high, that first sensation, and you can never get it. The pleasure principle. It's what this system's about. Stimulating and the pleasure principle syndrome to have you chasing things that you can't get. We just gotta try to maintain a harmonious situation for us to collectively come together in and be live in communal mindsets of helping one another heal and come together in the essence of love and peace and sincerity as a people to overcome the competitive nature that we be taught, indoctrinated to exploit. So with that, I'll go into this next one. It says the plight of the African, I think, is in the hands of this sister again. It says, from the shores of a verse African destination, stripped from our royal culture, spirituality, and native reason for white supremacy, enslavement reasons, pressed together like sardines in between urine and defecation, losing our heritage and family values by being sold, stripped out of our diamonds and golds, just as mandinga, which winch, or showpiece, hoe. African heritage eradicated by people annihilated through orchestrated separation, moaning, frequent verbal desires like give us free, seeking to be myself, me, preempted escape from bondage, captivity, captivation, and challenges to a racist government that ultimately moved us off the unbearable Vestal station. From the plantation to the north for the so-called freedom migration, a false sense of Negro liberation, praying to a white God for salvation, looking for true participation in white supremacy, nation led to the need for equality and desegregation, which prompted the fight for integration and the desire for new laws and more unfair legislation. Civil and human rights became Dr. King Dreams Jr. and a white mother's SBA business elevation, coupled with a minority versus black continuously losing ground, and their short-lived black Wall Street businesses sensation, haters with fire hoses, bloodhounds, and guns off our leaders by lynching and assassination, leading the African American male into destruction, stages of depression, and sessions of self-mutilation. The black family now mostly living in working class situation, selling drugs just to make it until the Black Panther feeding and Poor People's Campaign and our Black Power movement were enough is enough was the main conversation. From Tricky Dick Nixon, politicking, and secret Watergate taping, still asking grandma, why can't I sit down at Woolworth and table to the funding the war on poverty that created an illusion of welfare reformation. Then the war on drugs that directed the devilish criminal minds to seize the world markets as pimps sinking deli prostitutions. In the meantime, the plan for our misfortune was ultimately blackmail castration. Filling the jail cell with no bail as direct compensation for knifing and killing kids, a KK Hallelujah celebration, especially in D.C., the capital of the nation, got me wondering what happened to the Pledge of Allegiance and to the one nation under God, or under a groove getting down just for the funk of it. Conversation. Why are they ignoring and changing the forefathers' Bill of Rights to an at-will constitution? Controlling black achievement was their main agenda and solution. Becoming cops, robbers, judges, politicians, or any job of their choosing. Must eradicate the successful plight of all African people was the undercover plan, operation. Let's move them into complete desperation and finally send them to a modern-day plantation. You know, the prison complex, newfangled stock innovation that will replace the age of industrialization. New Jim Crow slavery scheme by the bell curve, mind manipulation and control group experimentation. We were blindsided by this very proactive situation that called for pushing blacks out of their homes, neighborhoods through gentrification, trying to be so happy-go-lucky in spite of the nightmare on Elm Street. Conditioned thanks to the 1%, these gangsters would sacrifice their own family members. Texas changing history, printing books saying blacks weren't slaves, just unpaid interns. Slickly trying to paint a post-racial era with President Obama's black image camouflaging the overt human tragedy, ongoing sabotage terror. That is the sickness of what we're going through now in America. And we got to realize that we got to change it. We got to change it by coming in together and developing the infrastructure. We got to come together on basis of principles that pertain to us and our culture. It got to become an institution It got to become a practice every day in our life, every day of our life. We got to teach it to our children. We got to get them off of that social narcotics and get them on some spiritual, natural highs, some culture, natural highs. We just got to get our mentality to rise. We got to open our eyes and stop walking around with our eyes wide shut. We got to deprogram ourselves and decode ourselves so we can come off of robot control. We got to stop selling our soul and becoming Negro-Europeans trying to emulate the Europeans when they emulate us and stole everything from us, flagralized it, took it, and everything, and took us out of our nature, trying to emulate their nature, going against our nature when they trying to emulate us. You can see it today. You can see they trying to get bigger buttocks, bigger lips. And what we do, we bleach our skin, thin our noses, thin our lips. Reverse psychology is open warfare. But we can't be fair game. We got to maintain our identity. We got to maintain our culture, our social identity, our spiritual identity. We got to teach our children who we are and were. We have to go black to come to the presidents. And just because we have this president at this time, it's just a charade, a game being played. But we got to look behind the curtain to know that. And the only way you can do that is research. The real true education or information of this nation and us as a people. See, they try to confine us, not try, they do, they have done, confine us in our perception of things in this 2016 years. And it's going to get ready to be 2017 years. But in all that time, if you're this confined there, you're going to deny yourself. You're going to deny your history, your story. That's why I say, in my humble opinion, in all humility, that Islam, Christianity, Hebrew, Jew, whoever, they shortchange us in our practice of those ways of life. Because how you going to just deny all the history or stories of us as a people around the globe, from New Mexico, Central Mexico, and Australia, China, everywhere? If you look in all those places, you will find some evidence that we've been there and left evidence there of monuments that still have their structure and the semblance of us. That's on every continent. I don't care if you're talking about the Buddha. I don't even care if you're talking about the Amaleks in Mexico, the Aztecs and all them. I don't care if you're talking about the indigenous Native America of these United States of America. Wherever you go and talk about, you're going to see we was there. We was there first, and we left evidence. And they don't want us to know. They don't want us to know that there's pyramids here in America, up and down the Mississippi and the Colorado. In those places that's kind of covered with earth or whatever. But they are pyramids, and they know, but they don't want us to know. Because if we know that, then we can say, oh, we are much greater than what you led us to believe in your history books, what you've been teaching us from the early learning periods of our lives, when they just teach us about slavery or their so-called greatness of the so-called founding fathers and the wars that they've been through and all that. And they try to depict them as great people when they're not. We the great people. When they talk about taking America back to when it was great, what is their concept of that? That's what we got to realize. That's why we got to step back for a moment and become watchers and observers, and at the same time develop our infrastructure without protecting our children, our wives, and coming together on the principles, again, of Kwanzaa. The principles that is the cement of bringing us together, building a foundation and building that foundation up. Like Claude Anderson say in his economical plan, you start from the first floor and work your way up. And doing that, that's the economical plan. And so we got to have the economical plan, a spiritual plan, educational plan, because that's what it's about. You have your culture intact, and you get that economical plan intact, or way of life, and your spirituality. And then when you build a foundation around that, we got to, like I said, and I'm going to keep saying, we have to change our language. If we change our language, we're changing our thoughts. Because our language is manifested from the thoughts and what we have in our conscious or subconscious mind. And a lot of stuff that's in our subconscious mind is put there through subliminal suggestions, through the commercials that we always set in the front of the TV and see. We always running to get this and get that we've been programmed to get by design. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in our community is by design. The drugs, the killing, and all that. That's what they want. It's a part of the depopulation. Excuse me. Ah, boy. And then here go another poem I wrote. And it's pertaining to an experience I had before I changed my mind. I changed the language first. I developed it within my conscious and subconscious that I can't do it no more. Enough is enough. Personally, within my temple and the creative energies of my ancestors and the creative energy of the Creator in me said, enough is enough. I can't keep doing this to myself. So this is called Love Boat Cruise. Here, not down the Potomac, but through the streets of Washington, D.C. Have you ever been on a love boat cruise where the only thing you can lose is your mind in a matter of time along with your clothes? Because on a love boat cruise, you can't get but naked with your ticket. In the criminal and chemical reality that you brought. The fun you have and the feeling of delight is definitely all right. Because on this cruise, you are like on an airplane flight. High as a psychedelic kite with distorted insight. It's like your life has been aborted, but you caught it before it hit the bottom of the abyss. It's like you cut the light out in your mind because time moves so fast you don't realize you done anything. Your brain goes numb and you become dumbfounded on the island of what happened. What did I do as time flew past you and you find yourself standing there in the midst of confusion? Like you be losing your mind and trying to find it in the sanity of insanity. That this selected cruise that brought you on, but you still enjoy it because you don't know where you're going to and when you're going to get off, and you believe you are not lost. Like when I brought my ticket to take that love boat cruise, I thought, how could I lose? When I'm the captain of the ship, I can't slip because I'm strong. But how wrong I was as the storm got stronger than I was. As I came in the house already wet from the waters of the waves of my cruise on the love boat, the mother of my firstborn told me to put that out. In a frantic shout, "Don't be smoking that around me," was her words. And that was the last thing I heard before the voice of my mother and her smacking me brought me back around. Huh were my first words, and then she began telling me what I had done. I'm thinking, where's my gun? Or should I run and hide? Because now I don't know if I'm beside myself or inside myself, because somebody's coming to get me. I just know it. I just know it. I just know it. For real? For real? Were my other words I used responding to my mother as she was telling me about all the things I messed up, like the front room, my bedroom. I don't recall doing anything. So I had to be outside myself and in motion on this ocean feeling of joy. Oh boy, is there any more so I can soar without my oars being in the water? It took me months to remember I almost put my life out of order with a .380 automatic pistol, one in the chamber and fully loaded, in my hand, in my mouth, with my finger on the trigger. Can the scenario get any bigger? My mind shouts at me, and you almost put your own lights out. Have you had any doubts? Yes, I say, because I can't remember that day. It took me months to see the death I would have caused would have been my own. As I sat alone in a corner again, taking a trip, this time with my Mr. Natural, an umbrella would not help, and the acid rained down on my brain. A spider begins to spin its web of bright colors. I yell for help, but nobody hears me because I'm trapped in my own web of life, with no way out but to live it. The spider came from nowhere and went back to nowhere. I swear it was right there in the middle of the air. Hallucination is a reality. It was mine. But it wasn't enough. I had to ride back on the other side. So I brought another ticket on the love boat just to see if I could stay afloat. The pier was Ninth Street, so I lifted anchor and inhaled the fumes from the chemicals of the love boat. I went on my voyage down Ninth Street into the tunnel where I got butt naked because I was on the love boat and it was no joke with me because my body was wet and I felt dry, and then I came out on the other side of the tunnel with great relief. I felt like a thief in the night because all of a sudden everything got bright. Then I felt the police hands on me, squeezing me so tight. I said to myself, they love me or either they want me to fight, because I was blinded by the chemical insight. But I still feel all right no matter what happens. I'm the captain of the ship called Love Boat. I thought, but the truth is, a natural high is the way I'm inclined to fly with God as my pilot. That's a true story. That's a true story that happened to me. I'm telling you, in my life, going on the pathway of life, I experienced a lot of things. And before I went to college, SWU, to get my PhD in streetology. So that's why a lot of things don't get past me, especially in that world of drugs and all that. I didn't never get on hard drugs, but I marijuana and Love Boat, I really loved Love Boat at one time. And the experience about the hallucination, that happened too. Really, a spider came in front of my face and spin a web of bright colors. So that I know that hallucination is true. I know when the CIA brought that in our communities, along with all the other drugs that they brought, not only the CIA, but the FBI. CIA had the experimentation with acid and all that in our communities in the early 60s or late 60s or whatever, up into the 70s, and then they brought all the other stuff, the chemicals thing, in our communities. And then, like in the 60s, J. Edgar Hoover brought heroin in our community to attack our people because we was rising up in a revolutionary mode and thought, and the identity of coming together, unifying. And on them basis, that was to try to slow us down. Then after that, the CIA brought cocaine, and we know about the crack epidemic in our communities across the country. Then after that, now we got this thing about 2K, we got this thing about Flacca, and what else? They legalized marijuana, but first marijuana was not legal, and then you can get 2K out of the store. So you can't smoke something that might be helpful for you. It's illegal, but this thing that's detrimental for you is free, and they selling it. Then they put a ban on that, make legal marijuana legal. But it's kind of a two-edged sword because it's legal, but if you smoke it and get a dirty urine, it'll affect your job. But and every drug that they put in our community is worse than the previous one. Now 2K and the Flacker have you almost becoming like a living dead, a zombie. And I know you've seen the movies. So when we see movies, it's like preparing you for something that might be coming. So with that understanding, we have to be aware and prepare for this scenario. We got to be mindful of it, because it is probable it could happen. And if it could happen, we're going to be the victims of it. So we're going to have to defend ourselves from it. So with that, again, we got to change our language, change our thinking, change our whole life, our whole style of living. We got to do this yesterday, because the attack upon us was before yesterday. And it won't stop, because they definitely trying to implement their new world order. And the poker game that they playing now, the stakes are very high. We got a few more days for people with the ideology to take America back to when it was great. I don't know if it's the Tea Party, the Blue Dogs, or whoever, people part of the Ku Klux Klan, the White Iron Brotherhood. All these people can come out their cloaks now and out their hoods and put on their suits, take positions behind in blue suits too. And we gotta defend ourselves against that, not in a hostile defense, but a defense to come back, a retreat. See, a defense is a retreat to get a better position. In order to get a new look at the situation. And we got to do that by changing our disposition, our concern for each other, for families, for friends, developing the extended family thinking, to say that it takes a village to raise a child, and implement that for real in our village, in our cities, across the nation. We got to make a global connection with those melanated people in the interior of Africa, Akabu land, to deal with exchange. And the times might get a little rough, the waves might get a little rough, but we got to weather this storm like we weathered all the other storms. But we got to do it in the development of the principles of Kwanzaa. We practice it the previous years, and maybe some of us are practicing it every day. But it can't be some of us. It got to be all of us. All the righteous, holy, conscious people, melanated people, need to do this and establish in our lives and our families. Because we got to go through a healing process. We got to go through that healing process to overcome post-traumatic slave syndrome that's in our psychic, that's in our subconscious. We got to overcome the brainwashing. We got to overcome the indoctrination of this social narcotics that's been injected into our psychic, into our lives, from being infant until growing up throughout this society. It's in every aspect of this society. And so those principles, Umoja, Kukuchakalia, Ujama, Ujama, Nia, and today Koo-OOM-bah, creativity, purpose, cooperative economics, collective work and responsibility, self-determination, and unity must be applied in our life. We must institutionalize it in this country, from every city, every community across this country, and connect and unify on that. Overcoming everything that separate us. Religion, Islam, Christian, all this that separate us, divide and conquer, we got to overcome it as a people. And I said I'm going to share some other stuff right here. Now, this is another aspect of someone else writing, but it's related to me, so I want y'all to listen to it. And it's circumstances and situations that we go through. But we got to go through it to get on the other side of it. We got to heal in everything. And it said, through their words. Hard to finish this poem, since my spirit is suddenly empty. Body feels like a dagger is in my back, and my side was instantly struck by a huge thorn. Patience is a virtue, but the same pattern and non-communication makes this woman of God extremely worn. No continuous sincere echo till decode from my mate. At the moment feeling no connection, just pure discord. Whether if I'm supposed to act like an infant newly born. Suck my thumb until he at some point comes home. I'm blown. Was just thinking about tooting the praise horn. We made it through another week without becoming torn. He can't be up on the up and up right now. No way he can just justify how. One simple call would made this diva smile. Once again made a plan to handle a task instead. What's going on is what I must ask. At this rate, wonder if I would be able to last. Really thought this kind of behavior was a thing of the past. Unfortunately, without talking to me, or even, we now know absolutely nothing. An hour ago, your child asked me where you been. Like a fool, I wish I had something to tell him, except he didn't answer my call. This really ain't cool, for I'm not sure if he understands how no discussion ties both my hands, leaving me hanging by a rope like thread. My heartbeat is dead, forgetting all this good pledge and promise said. Just remembering the bad, wow, so sad. Just had the best love night. Guess it doesn't equate to this old bi-weekly memorial fight. Wish that I could handle each occurrence real smooth, but it's totally wrong and disrespectful with this record we both will lose. I don't know if I could continue to experience this bull. Had a tight schedule, plus our plate is completely full. Spent my last money at the store to fix dinner. God, with these thoughts, I'm a recovering sinner. He knew we had to wash clothes so his son could be packing. Both of us sitting here cracking. Better go for a walk. And to our creator, I must have a deep talk. But hey, with this pigeon view seeing, the unfaithful hawk, oh, anything goes. If you can't be straight up honest, friends does that make foes. Fix a quick meal, thinking we'll follow the agreement spill. Do laundry after he picks up the package from FedEx. Now he's created a complex mess. Got us both feeling uncalled for emptiness. Must go out here, at least we break up. How great we've been blessed. Don't need spinning this situation into the land of nothingness. Oh God, please favor us. Yeah, you gotta be honest with yourself and honest with your partner, mate, whatever. And sometimes situations and circumstances occur. But you gotta fight through those things. Not a physical fight, a mental fight, a spiritual fight. It may take time, but time is the essence when you want to reach some blessings. When two minds come together, two hearts, two souls, and deal with things on certain levels, we got to realize it's sacred. love should be sacred, sex should be sacred, and that sacredness should bind us in the oneness of creativity. Of creativity, of being able to create an atmosphere and an environment that you become near and nearer to each other. Even though sometimes things happen and conditions and circumstances make things unpleasant and create your ego is a foe against you sometimes that you got to fight against. Because sometimes you can be your own worst enemy. And that's why we got to, as a people and as a family, starting with the family, we got to mold and shape good character and conduct and be on the up and up. And it's not hard if you believe in God and the nature of a righteous, upright person. But you gotta be real, and you gotta fight against that enemy, the greatest enemy, your ego and yourself, and become more spiritually inclined with the divine essence of yourself, according to the ancient laws and texts of our ancestors and the ancient laws of development as people that's trying to get to the best of their being by healing, by overcoming all shortcomings and developing on understanding of being a better person for another person. But you first got to be a better person for you. You got to shape and mold yourself. You have to love yourself so that you can love somebody else and other people can love you. You got to, other people enhance your love. So that's what we got to do for each other. So now I'm gonna go in two more poems, but the real discussion and the real reason for being here is for me conveying myself, pouring my heart out to us as a people to come together to heal for all the idiosyncrasies that we have and to build from that healing, to coming together in communal living, establishing institutions, establishing a mindset, a mentality of being producers and not consumers, being entrepreneurs, creating businesses, bringing our community together, keeping our money in our community going through each other's hands, using each other. We got to learn the examples of the small woods of Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Smallwood, Florida, Charleston, North Carolina, and across this nation come together, overcome our idiosyncrasies. And this is another thing, to divide and conquer, man. This era and time, this little thing of everybody becoming conscious and this and that. And if we all conscious and all that, why are we still caught up in that syndrome, the Willie Lynch syndrome? If we're conscious, we should be on a high level of understanding. No matter how much knowledge we claim to have or whatever, why we gotta be in conflict with each other? Why? Whoever have knowledge, it should be conveyed, given. It's not that you become, see now, the thing is, you conscious, but how you gonna be conscious when you let your ego become involved with this thing, to put on a show or whatever, that I know more than him and he this and he that? We calmly disagree with each other to a degree. We peacefully come together and mold and shape and fit together like a puzzle. The knowledge you have and the knowledge somebody else had, bring it together and fit it in like a puzzle, so we can get that power, that currency, get that currency. My brother, I see my brother Don T. Thank you for joining me. Another a strong brother that's part of this movement. Love this brother. Just had little one, a seed. He another brother just had a seed. A seed for the next generation of leaders, a strong brother that I met during this campaign season about since 2011 when I met him. I still think he got my suit. No, I'm just playing, brother. But anyway, I love you, man. Glad to see you up listening, joining us. And okay. But I'm serious about this, man. We got to come together. And those like in this conscious community that are in conflict, that's a bad example, man. How you gonna be conscious and then you got this conflict about whatever? I know this, I know that. All of us know something. All of us might know a different modality than the other one. But if we bring it together, it fits together. I mean, I love Valentine. I love Professor Griff. I love Umar. I love this young brother Pharaoh. I really love him because he's a young brother, very knowledgeable. And all these brothers, man, come together as one to promote the principles of Ugabo Sabo, Nguzo Sabo, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and institutionalize this nationwide. The people that we're reaching and the profound effect that we have upon people should be used to build people up, not tear them down, not to see us fighting against each other. And they say, man, what is going on? That's all I'm hearing now. What's going on with the conscious community? Separate but equal. No, we got to be equal and together. It ain't no separation. We got to deal with integration, being together. Not integration with the natural enemy of us, but integration among us, coming together. Separation from our natural enemy, developing infrastructure on the principle of Kwanzaa, of Umoja, unity, Kukachakalia, self-determination, Ujamaa, collective work and responsibility, Ujamaa, cooperative economics and near purpose, and the day's principle, koo-OOM-bah, creativity. We have to be creative enough to stand up and overcome our idiosyncrasies and come together as one entity. And let me see this here. Now I'm going to go into this, and this is like commercialism or whatever, but we need to, my poetry is my creativity. It's my niche that the Creator give me, and my discernment. And everything in my life now is by divine decree and according to my ancestors that I believe in us and my culture. And I go black to where we began. See, I'm not going to deny my history or our story for his lies and his story. Because his story is his lies, because he don't have a story. They stole our story to establish their glory. But we got to realize that, because we can't be defined in 2016, 2017 years coming up. And like what, 485 or 90 years of that, we was in captivity in here in America. And in that captivity, we was beaten, castrated, mutilated, burned, hung, raped, and everything. Even the belly of our pregnant ancestors were cut open. The fetus came out and they stomped it. So we're dealing with a barbaric nature, and that mentality and that spirit is part of the nature. The beast of his nature is what we gotta understand, and not be emotional and all that. Be rational and think this thing through. And we're dealing with establishing a foundation and a society based on institutionalized love for each other. We got to institutionalize love and healing amongst each other. We got to put down the gun and stop killing each other, stop using drugs, selling drugs to each other, and heal. We got to develop a natural high based on the purity of our soul on the divine context. I mean, I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Jew, Hebrew, or whatever. We got to unify. We can't stay like this separate. Islam, Christianity, a conscious, nationalist, Hebrew, Jew. We got to bring them all together. And right there. That's power. And that's our power. And we can stay practicing what we practice. Let's do it together. It be together, but our ideologies or the practice of how we worship will be what it is. But we be together, working together, no matter what. No Willie Lynch syndrome, no separate connotations or whatever. We be unified, and that I'll go into this. It's called BET. 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 Black entertainment has become so European that it's tainted. And it don't represent me. Because I am African-centric and mentally free. If bleached skin and straight hair is the flair to success and the laws of your culture identity, then I don't want any part of that energy. The synergy of my heart is not part of my enemy, and I won't and can't sell my soul for money and a materialistic abode. Whatever happened to the African connection and direction that is naturally healthy and holistic? Baggy pants and holly dress, is this the example of our people's success? 400 years to become somebody else. Have you read the ISIS papers by Dr. Francis Quest Welsing? Because you are sure influenced by the Willie Lynch syndrome. You have become a slave in your own mental grave, paid by the slave mentality you gave into. What you call success is surely unblessed, and a test for the rest of us to see how undivine you have become. It's just a matter of being plain dumb, thinking you got to succumb to a way of life that you should be running from. But instead, you sell your soul for the glitter and gold, fads and trends. It's like you are in slavery all over again, a slave to your own passions and desires, and manipulated into a false sense of success, like you don't have to help anybody else. Self-centered, egotistical, arrogant beyond all measure. And you forgot the treasure of your lineal wealth, your mental and spiritual health. Don't let the torch of Africa go out in your minds. The torch handed to us from brothers and sisters in the village to the coastline of Africa, the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, and the islands, South America, and these shores of North America. The light must not go out, shouts our ancestors. Black folk everywhere, think about that. Bet? Black folk everywhere, think about that. Africans. African-centric is our true identity. Even though we've been here in America indoctrinated and injected with this social narcotic called white supremacy, institutionalized racism. Because in our schools we send our children to, they have a certain curriculum that boxes in, almost like putting you under robot control. Oh, our children is like making them conform to a certain way and action and how to carry themselves. But we need it. Excuse me, 1 second. We need education to get by in this world, in this society. But we need self-education also. We need to understand who we are as a people. As I was just saying, we just can't confine ourselves in 2015 years when it's scientific proven by their scientists trying to find themselves. The life goal, they found material DNA that goes back, they said 1 million years. I won't even go back that far. I'll just say 500,000 or 100,000 years, but it's us. They say it's the first people, the original people that everybody else come from. Everybody come from us because we're the first everywhere on the planet Earth. And we got to realize that. We got to teach our children that to develop self-esteem in them. We can't keep teaching them about Santa Claus and Christopher Columbus and all these other fictitious holidays. It's a fallacy. It's an untruth. And then we ask our children, why you lie so much? Look at you like you crazy. You told me the first lie. You told me about this and told me about that, and it was a lie. So we got to stop teaching a lie and teach them the truth. Teach them how great they are. Teach them how great we are. is as African Americans here, but we have a story. We have a true history. Our story is a true story that it's like they talking about Black history and give us a history month. It take a lifetime to deal with our history because we got to go black beyond 2015. We just can go back to 50,015 or 16. And that's that history in itself. We can't keep going and teaching our children about his story from his lies, because his lies is of deception, because they're looking for some example of their story for real. They don't have none because they come from us, and they rob graves and all that, talking about the anthropologists. They grave robbers looking for some identity. They going through an identity crisis. But we as Black people need that pride and development of Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, to establish an institution of our culture identity, so we don't suffer from this social narcotics that we've been injected with, of white supremacy and institutionalized racism since we've been in this country, because we went into their schools and being taught Eurocentric education. Unbeknown to ourselves, we go into education to better our lives, but they give us indoctrination or program us to be competitive, not cooperative. Our principle of Kwanzaa, Ujuma, that's the 4th principle, cooperative economics. We got to take on that. We got to be like this here. It takes the village to raise a child, and it takes extended families. We got to go back and be open to each other as family members, extended family members. We got to love one another, man. We got to stop killing each other. People, we got to change our language. I hear it all the time. Man, them youngers out there, they doing what they doing because they got to eat. We all got to eat, but it's a way to eat. You don't defeat your own purpose. You don't defeat yourself in life. You don't take a life as part of you gotten to eat. You got to eat. Man, we can get a job, even though some of the jobs ain't paying no money, but if we come together and pool our resources, just like the Latino brothers that come over there, they do it all the time, man. We talk bad about them. We talking about they taking out jobs and this and that. No, the European is giving them jobs because it's part of the design. It's part of their 20-year plan. It's part of like gentrification that they doing throughout D.C. and Ward 8 is the last frontier or whatever of that. But if we don't unify and don't do nothing about it, it's going to be done. That's why we got to stay strong, unify, organize, and develop an infrastructure. We got to hold on. We got to uplift each other. We got to motivate each other. We got to do this yesterday. Because if we don't, their plan and their effect is going to be what they plan and effect to have done. And especially with these people that's at the political table now, that's going to be sitting in the throne. He talk what he going to do. He got people around him that got the same mentality. And we know that social narcotics, they are the ones that's promoting it. They hustling that. That's what they do. They hustle that social narcotics of white supremacy and institutionalized racism to establish their goals and their dreams, to keep us subservient. There's a lot of us that's going through the holes or whatever, and, you know, well off, and especially the entertainers and the celebrities and all that. But what are they doing with their resources? Are they on the principles of Kwanzaa or the principle of capitalism, of competitiveness, and not helping? It's a lot of them that helping, but we can do more. We can develop our own movie industry, our own music, where we be the distributor of the music that we want to hear, look at the movies that we want to see, so we can overcome their mass mind control or brainwashing. That's what it is. They use the propaganda of the papers, the propaganda of the movies. When they show movies, they showing it for a reason, to present an idea, to put something into effect to get you ready for it. It's so much going on that we got to read, we got to research. We got to become student teachers. We got to start with having an institution that we build upon, and we build upon those 7 principles. And the day is koo-OOM-bah, creativity. And so I like to go into this last poem for the day, for this morning, that the Creator gave us what? Yes, that breath of life. He gave us that breath of life this morning. He gave it to us to be productive, to be instrumental in uplifting our people, to be better, to do better. And we very much instrumental in being that conductor to do that. And we had to do that yesterday, because we behind in time. We behind in everything because we playing catch up. And we got to overcome that, being, because see the race that we in, right? They got a big head start off of our labor, off our free labor. We got to know that when they talk about taking America back to when it was great, you know how it got that greatness? It got that way over the labor of our ancestors, over our great aunts and uncles and stuff like that, through free labor, through things that was we was forced for free labor, and in the fields from at this time in the morning to when the sun come up. Forced, we was beat and all that while they sat on the porch, and they call us a nigger. And the definition of nigger is lazy and shiftless. How can that apply to us when we was working all day long, 14, 16 hours a day, every day, without getting paid? And what we did for them made the industrial revolution a reality for them. The cotton, the tobacco, and all that the people was caught up on, we produced that for them through our free labor. They supposed to gave us 40 acres and a mule after that. They reneged on that right after the Emancipation Proclamation, when General Grant supposed to told them to give us 40 acres and a mule. I think it was General Grant. But anyway, they didn't give us to us, so the southern plantation owners say, man, you can't give that land that's our land, so they reneged on it. So here we find ourselves again. We do have a lot of us, doing good or whatever, but like Ray Charles said, ain't none of us free unless all of us free. And that's the spirit we got to have. And with that, I'm going to go into this, and I'm going to say this here. We got to establish these principles, or the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, the first fruit. The first principle is umoja, unity. To strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, and nation and race. Second principle, kuka-chakalia, self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, and create for ourselves and speak for ourselves. We can't let them validate us no more with this nigger thing. How can we be the nigger according to the definition? We weren't lazy. We weren't shifty. They was, man. We did the work. We niggas. Niggas is a term for king. We are king and queens. And you can go further than that and say we God and goddesses based on what is in the book. That we are God, oh ye gods. They talking about us, and they know that, but they keep that information from us. They got so much information hidden from us that will uplift us and motivate us. That's why we got to teach our children who they are, in the light of who they are. This melanated, this melanin skin tone that we have, based on the melatonin in our brain that stimulates the pituitary and pineal gland that enhances our concept of life and all that in our body, which is our temple, and the energy of the Creator is in each and every one of us. And with that, Ujamaa is the third principle, collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problem our problems and to solve them together. And Ujamaa, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit from them together. Nia, purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Traditional greatness. We got to go back to ancient Akabu land, so-called Africa, Nubian, and Kemet. We got pyramid in South America. We got pyramids, the Amalek heads, that's us. We got pyramids in China. The Buddha is about us. See, we got to know that. Then Nia is I said Nia, and the last one today is not the last principle, but the principle we're working on today is koo-OOM-bah, creativity. We got to be creative in everything that we do. We got to be entrepreneurs. We got to be producers and not consumers. We got to do that. We got to change our thinking. We got to change our language and change our thoughts, because it all begins with thought. You manifest a thought and it comes out our mouth. When it comes out our mouth, we try to bring it into reality, because words are reality. Words have a lot of power. Words can shape, form, and things like that. And once we get into our spiritual sides ourselves, there's a lot of power in that. We can become alchemists. It's so much that we need to know and understand about ourselves through this principle of creativity. So, with myself, I say that Blackanized Incorporated, International Nubian Consciousness, was created to make me realize I can't close my eyes to the institutional lies that was given to me from grades through to high school, trying to make me into an indoctrinated fool. Being self-educated, I broke their golden rule. I became beholden to the Creator instead of them. That really gave me slim chances then. My soul and I will become stronger. I will not bend to commit the ultimate sin of worshiping them or the mental things, material things that they bring. In order to numb my brain to the reality of being sane, they even tried to fill my world with cocaine, heroin, PCC, acid, mind-altering drugs in order to sweep my life under the rug. Blackanized Incorporated, International Nubian Consciousness, allowed me to realize my self-worth upon this earth, and that I had to be in control of myself or something or somebody else would. And that was the key in me becoming me, being mentally free and seeing reality in all its distortion. And those who gave in to the ultimate sin became the enemy of men. They sold their soul because they thought paper money was still backed up by gold and silver. Who would deliver the truth to them that the Wizard of Oz is a fraud, and what he will have you believe is God is just a charade? And the Federal Reserve got a lot of nerve charging us interest as they parade the IRS in our face, as we try to keep pace with the bitter taste of the taxes they persuaded us to pay when the nation first went broke. Now all the folk got is legal tender and a promissory note. Blackanized Incorporated, International Nubian Consciousness, making me feel the realizations of all the assassinations that went down in my era and time, making me scratch my mind, asking myself, is this all the alphabet men are inclined to do, along with protecting me and you? J and R Kennedy, M.L. King, along with Malcolm X. Who might be next from the COINTELPRO? Only the agent provocateurs must know. They say you sow what you reap. So tell the FBI to keep the heroin off the streets. And the CIA, please don't bring no more cocaine this way. It's driving the president, then President Bush, insane as he begins to play his war games. And the military-industrial complex, along with the Carlyle Foundation, is getting paid without hesitation. Because this is the way of secret organization. They call them the Knight Templars of Solomon anymore. But to even the score, they want worldwide domination at the behest of this beloved nation. Blackanized Incorporated, the Masons, Trilateral Commission, Illuminati. Don't be fooled. They all the same, with one goal in mind, to leave nothing behind but chaos, confusion, and for you to be choosing falsehood over truth. Because who's who? The World Health Organization. And what do they do along with the CDC, Center for Disease Control, when it's been long out of control? By design, if you just scratch your mind. The prison industrial complex. What's next to ensure that slavery is a part of the stock market, as Dow Jones is up because the enormous time given out at the auction blocks in the courtroom? And what looms on the horizon? The atom and neutron bombs. But everybody just stay calm and don't be alarmed, because we have mad scientists and madmen at the controls, like robot men with computer for brains. What's the data that they contain? How insane. They are all connected to the mainframe, still playing a diabolical game of death over life. And what's the price? You, me, and us. It's the game that they playing, because that's what they do. They play a game to drive us insane. They play a game, monetary wealth. When they got all the wealth and want everything left, they make money. The money ain't got no really materialistic backing to it. It's a promissory note and legal tender that we just exchange for. And then the people that make money is not a part of the federal government or the DC government or anything got to do anything with the government. They're a private corporation, like the IRS, private corporation, like the CIA, private corporation, like the FBI, private corporation. Even America is a corporation of England. And we got Kabul states. DC is the military part of this Kabul state. London is the financial part of it, and Rome is the religious part of it. And when we talk about Kabul state, they are like secret states that there's sovereign states. Like Washington, D.C. is a sovereign state, like not really part of the United States. And London is the same. They have their own autonomy or their own way of doing things or dealing with things. But they're part of the bigger thing of the Corporation of England, which is a part of being ran by the Vatican and the 13 families dealing with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the Mellons, and the DuPonts, and all that. And all these secret organizations that they have doing what they do. They control the music industry. They control the medical industrial complex. They control the media industrial complex. And in all that control, they manipulate us to mass mind control. And we, there's research and all that. The information is out there. But we as a people, we've been here and we survived everything that we've been through. And we're going to survive this here in this political climate that's coming up. We're going to survive it. It's by divine decree that we're going to survive it. See, our ancestors ain't propelled us here to get here, and the Creator ain't going to allow us to get here and just let us go. Not now. We survived everything they done to us. Everything that they done some horrendous things to us, some horrible things to us. Some very horrible things. And then they tell us about it. That's what makes it so a shame. They tell you what you done to you. They tell you they raped your mother. They tell you that when you married your husband or your wife, they did it or cohabitated with your wife before you did it. And what could you do? Out of fear, you did nothing. And this is what our sisters went through. They look at us and they stand by us. But a traumatic slave syndrome that's in their subconscious, and especially if they don't come conscious, it affects them. It affects me. I'm so mad that I wasn't back there. I'm so, man, Nat Turner, I would have been right with him, and I would have been with the Seminole Indians when they fought it. See, some people were never a slave or a nigga. They didn't accept that mentality. That's why we got to change our mind, our mentality. We got to change our thinking. We got to be spiritual warriors. We got to be warriors for the Creator, in the circle of the Creator, according to our ancestors, the divine ancient texts of our ancestors. And we can't just be indoctrinated with this and polluted with this social narcotics of white supremacies and institutionalized racism. We just can't say that them white people do this and that. We got to know that they manipulate everything, the weather. Man, we got to overcome it. And by overcoming it, we got to develop our own principles. And it got to become an institution. We got to come out of practicing their holidays. We got to know the other side of Christmas is a Saturnalia. When they come together, is a Roman practice. We under Roman laws. This is built on Roman laws. The Vatican, the ones that enslaved us or sanctioned slavery in 1543, and the Bullist Papists, when they said that the people that was in Akabu land or so-called Africa were heathen, and we can go in there and do what we did, what would they wanted to do to enslave us, to make us subservient. And they did the same thing with the Muslims. They attacked them and say that they weren't nothing. They was what's the word? Pagans. They called the Muslim pagans. Called us heathens. And we got to know the people that this system is based on are our natural enemies in the sense of doing that. Because what they do, what they want. They want us to be subservient. They let a few through the cracks and nannies and all that. And some people become boule or gatekeepers or the talent and tip. But these people sometimes don't have our interests as us because their mind. See, your mind have to and your spirit have to be about us. That's why we need principles to establish this institution of Kwanzaa and go with Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and go deeply into it. And in whatever religion we practice, we have to go deep into it to benefit us as a people. And so with that, I say Hambari Gani, koo-OOM-bah. That's for today. You hear somebody say that? Creativity, koo-OOM-bah. Hambari Gani. What's going on, like Marvin Gaye? What's that mean? What's going on? What's happening? So you say creativity, Hambari Gani. So with that, and we try to establish, not just for this 7 days here, we want to establish that as an institution every day of the year. Just like our so-called, they say, Black History Month. Man, the heck what would they say? We can't let them validate us. We cannot let them validate us. We have to validate ourselves, and his lies don't apply to us. It's our story. Our history. Our story is our history, and it's real history. It's not plagiarism. It's not stolen or nothing. They stole everything from us. And I'm not saying this out of racism or the sickness that they have. I'm saying this out of love for my people. I am a race man. I'm listening to my ancestors. I hear them calling. I hear my ancestors from the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. I hear the spirit of my sisters and brothers in the silhouette of those trees that they was hung from. I hear my sisters and my aunts and grandmothers that was raped by this man and burned, the brothers that was burned and lynched. And thousands of people come to see a lynching. What that say about their nature? The beast in their nature. That got to be, oh man, a demonic nature to me. But anyway, I ain't gonna say it's all of them, but I'm saying we got to be all together in our growth and development as a people, a melanated people, so-called black people, African American, whatever, what we call ourselves, but we got to unify on principles and an institution that can uplift us as a people. We have to love one another. We have to heal. We have to change our language. We got to, and we can do it. We have to just become a spiritual. We got to come. This body, this temple is our body, and what's in it is the energy of the Creator. We got to become creative in changing our language and overcoming the concepts that we fed. We can't hustle the youth doing that. We can't hustle that. I mean, we cannot. We got to overcome it. Come together, unify, and be strong in our unification. I'm talking about Islamically, Christianity, all that. We do it according to this. I will never forget what Malcolm said. He said they're not killing us because we Muslim, Christian, or Jew, or none of that. They killing us because of this. They ain't got that melanin. Melanin costs $360-something or $50-something a gram. And the body parts, because they want to live forever. All them Rothschild, all them people at the top of the echelon of the chain of the people on the planet, they want to live forever. They don't want to die, so they keep replacing body parts. That's why it's 800,000 missing people that they don't tell us nothing about, because they control the media. They control entertainment to control our mind. We got to come out of their paradigm of the social narcotics that's been injected into our minds, hearts, and souls for time after time after time. And we can't keep generation after generation repeating their discrepancy and their miseducation of us. It got to stop yesterday. And with that, I say, hug somebody. Tell somebody you love them today. Tell them it's about creativity. Tell them it's about establishing principles that apply to us as a people. Tell them this because you love them. Tell them we got to heal each other. Tell them we got to be a extended family. We got to establish infrastructure in our community, because we don't need the police in our community. We know what's going on in our community. And once we unify in our community, put the guns down unless we're defending ourselves against our enemies. And we can't be our own enemies. We got to be warriors. We got to have the same discipline that the FOI got or the NOI. I got to keep saying it because I've seen these brothers. They disciplined. And our young warriors just on the street corners can be just the same. We can be the same on this whole country, throughout this country, each city, each community. And we got to do that. Our strength is in unity. And I love y'all. I love all my people. I love my melanated people. And I love all people, but I got to love me first. We got to heal. We got to overcome the post-traumatic slave syndrome. Even though whatever position or wherever we find ourselves in life, like Ray Charles say, ain't none of us free until all of us free. And with that, I say peace, togetherness, not this here. That's separate. This is together. With that peace comes power. Through the peace comes power from the heart. I say that in all sincerity. And y'all take care. Y'all stay strong. Don't forget to motivate somebody, stimulate, and tell them that you love them. And with that, have a great day. Have a God-given day. A God-given righteous day to make the best of it in every way. See you later, my brother Dante. I want my suit too, man. I see you Monday. Have a great day. And love you, man. Love everybody in this movement of the Ward 8 movement that's going to change a lot of things, not only in Ward 8. We just starting in our community. From the visionary and the young warrior, our new council member that's going to be sworn in on Monday. That's council member of Ward 8, Trayon White. I say salute to him and everybody that supports him in Ward 8, that this movement is going to be a movement that's going to change our community. And we're about peace, peacemakers, not peace breakers. Brother Abdul Aziz, salam alaikum. I think that brother's from Africa. See, that's the connection. That's umoja. That's unity. It's a global thing because white supremacy is a social narcotics that's global. And we got to realize that. So stay strong. Stay in this struggle to develop the ties of unity, organization, and the infrastructure based on principles that we can become an institution in everyday life, not just for our era and time, but for our future seeds, the next generation of leaders or generations of leaders, because we're going to be here by divine decree according to our ancestors. With that, I say again, peace, power, and love. Great day, God-given day. Take care, stay strong.